Press cross button.
Are you ready for a new operation?
I am never not ready.
Do you require support?
Fuck off. Let's go.
Possible suspect or suspects reported near your location. Control, we're tracking the suspect. No sign of the target. Over. No visual of target. Ending pursuit. Over.
Coming up today on The Upload, we're talking about Sky Larson, the enigmatic founder of Broker Tech. Everyone knows her name, but no one knows too much about her, and we only really see her these days as a hologram. She was pretty young when she launched Broker Tech, the company that is best known for introducing Bagley to the world. Nowadays, it's hard to remember a world before Bagley.
It's the most advanced, significant AI of
Control
our
to
time,
all
and it's really
units.
blown
Possible
all the other
hostiles
AIs
near
that
your
were
location.
created out of the water.
Moving
And I
inbound
think
to
that
hostile.
what Sky Larson's done with Bagley is absolutely
Total
incredible.
the target's
Yeah,
vehicle.
I can't really imagine the optic without it. But what do you know about Sky Larson herself?
Not a lot,
Control.
other than that she's
I've lost the
actually
target.
pretty incredible. I've followed her work for a long time, and she's always been a pretty private person. I know that she supposedly grew up in the countryside, but there isn't actually that much more
I'm
we know
terminating
about
the
her
search.
other than this tech
Fall
that she's
back.
put out into the
Over.
world.
I've always found it a bit creepy that she's so obsessed with this idea of transhumanism.
Why wouldn't you be? When you've got a mind as amazing as Sky's, why wouldn't you want to take what you've got and actually augment it by working with technology, by improving your physical self, changing your body and the world around you, implementing more technology to extend your life and really sort of extend human capabilities.
You sound pretty much in love with Sky Larson, I have to say.
I can't comment on that, but I am a big fan of her work. She's been one of these people that has transformed the world around us, and just watching how her mind works from afar is pretty incredible, because some of what the technology she's introduced has changed how we live.
We have reports of a
Did I ever tell you that I
hostile
actually
in your
interviewed
area?
Sky
Over.
Larson?
Really?
Investigating.
I
You
thought she
know
was the media.
Search the area.
So this was a long time ago, back in the day when she was a little bit more accessible, and she was one of these people that just had an amazing presence. You were
Can anyone see
inspired
the
by her very
suspect?
being, and she was just incredibly talented and knowledgeable, and one of possibly the best living people that I've ever met.
I'm not sure you're being too objective there. I mean, I imagine she's not very likable as a
Terminating
person.
pursuit and
She
coming
obviously
back.
despises humanity in some ways. I think she believes that becoming data is preferable to being human. She's one of these people who's extremely methodical in everything that she does, and she does everything to perfection and really tries to change the world around her and make it a better place for us to live in.
If you say so.
Run it.
Jump it.
Climb it.
Conquer it.
Whatever you're doing this weekend, Scoreline has the gear you need to get your heart racing.
Moving
You
to the
do it,
hostile's
we
location.
close.
Over.
Scoreline. We're more than sports.
I had them. Where did they go?
You're listening to The Bug, the Resistance comedy show brought to you by the Buccaneer Network. I'm Andy, joining me, as always, Alice.
I'm excited to be here. Apparently, the resistance is
All
not going
units
well.
disengage. Suspect has disappeared.
Well, there has been some news about DedSec, the resistance and/or terrorist organisation. Delete according to preference, not preference. Sorry, delete according to whether or not you work for the government. SIRS. According to a SIRS official,
Urgent call.
DedSec is no longer
Possible
a threat.
hostile at your
I guess
location.
it's true in that it was never a threat in the first
In
place.
pursuit.
Reminds me of
I
a great
repeat,
Aunt Gladys
we are
had
in
her
pursuit.
appendix out. Oh, Andy, that surgeon's a real threat. Lagging that knife and me trying to knock me out. Put a scalpel in the knife.
Received.
Anyway,
Ramming the
if
suspect.
SIRS officials say DedSec is dead and buried, I guess you have to assume that DedSec's never been stronger. But I do worry, Alice. I mean, sometimes I think, hope. Do you still have hope?
I don't think I'm allowed to have hope. We're living in this self-selected, algorithmically designated
Negative.
information
Suspect
equivalent
is
of a
gone.
propaganda
Issue
state.
an APW.
And every resistance that I've ever seen is weaker than the British pound. I feel like hope is an expensive thing to buy these days.
I mean, is it all totally pointless? What we got? I mean, it can feel pointless. But then again, I've spent almost all of my life doing pointless things like watching sport, thinking about sport, thinking about watching sport, learning French and hoping for a better future. All completely pointless. But yeah, I've done them, so we might as well carry on.
This is really bad. There's nothing left.
hear that? What was that?
Of the country to the soul of the people. He never does. It's just a myth. But that's what they go for. And on that basis, they take the right to control every aspect of your life, from who you talk to where you eat, to where you go to hang out with your friends. And what we're seeing now is a contemporary iteration of this process where you get corporations and the state operating in tandem, basically molded into one another. But that isn't that rare. I mean, you saw exactly the same thing in Nazi Germany. You look at the concentration camps that operated in Nazi Germany, there were private companies in those camps making use of that slave labor. Fascism often works with corporations, and it's doing the same now. That's the way in which they track what you do. That's the way in which they track who you talk to. They operate as each other's proxies.
Charles is an expert in the dark arts of surveillance who worked to set up democratic media in post-communist states. How did it go so wrong?
You know, we're looking at all the wrong things when we look at Britain's crisis. There's a lot of concentration on data and how that's been used and manipulated. And what we haven't looked at is the power structures and the profit that lies behind this. For example, if we examine what actually happened, you know, there's a company that's really very interested in selling passports and making it easy to provide visas for investment and so on. And historically, throughout the world, they've been working with this big data manipulation company in order to overthrow governments. And then suddenly all the chickens came home. Nobody could find any receipts for what was paid for. Nobody could figure out how things were done, but everybody had a feeling that something really stunk, and they couldn't figure it out. and yet it was standing there in their face the whole time. So there's a couple of different ways that we got where it is that we are. I mean, one, you have a lot of smaller organizations, smaller power groups, companies as well, who are bending things just a little. Oh, we'll compromise a little bit, we'll bend the rules a little bit, and try to achieve what it is that we hope to achieve that's good for us. And if you add all of that up, what you end up with is a big wall moving in a big way. From a lot of little buttons being pushed. But also there's this other thing that's going on here, is the gathering of data and the analysis of data has authoritarianism contained within its DNA. It is by its nature a tool for authoritarianism, and it has been used.
How does big data look into our lives? James covered it for the pre-crisis press.
We're starting to see the merger of private data and that with data held by the state into what are called social credit systems. This is where every aspect of your behaviour is monitored and totted up by a central system to sort of score you as a person, a bit like a credit card, but predicated on all of your behaviour rather than just the money you're spending. And this can have profound impact. We're starting to see systems emerge which
Possible hostile at your location.
If you jaywalk, if you cross the road in the wrong place,
Control.
you want to leave your neighbours might know. And then this can be used to sort of evaluate you as a person. And this could mean, for example, better travel privileges, being able to travel first class. Or
Control, we are unsighted of suspects. Over.
These systems are very real and very possible because of all of the data that is now held on us.
So if your ears are burning and you think someone
Control,
might be watching
add suspect to the most wanted list. Over.
I'm Tash and you've been listening to Bucking. Keep listening, keep sharing the show, keep it included. They're watching us, but we're watching you too.
Everyday worries can become every night worries. Round and round and round they go. Until yesterday's worries become today's. Don't let sleep be a worry. One pop and the worries will stop. Kakani. Sleep better.
This is London Calling. You're listening to Buccaneer, your source for the day. With me, Tash. It's hard to believe that there can be shortages of food and medicine in an advanced country like ours, and yet here we are. Those old government promises of adequate food turn out to be just enough. Today we're short of basic foodstuffs and vital medical supplies. Hundreds have already died of conditions that can be easily cured. The black market and criminal gangs are standing in and running the cities. And Prime Minister Dev Hasani is even around to pretend to care. How do we go from a consumer paradise to a place of empty shelves, fighting for supplies? What turns a land of plenty into a wild west of food battles and black market barriers? We protect everyone who comes on the podcast, as even their identity is a secret. Here's veteran political reporter Ian on the power behind shortages.
I mean, what was the first thing that happened when Britain sealed itself off? Like, the first stuff that got stopped from coming in was fresh food. I mean, we could live without the fresh food. I mean, everyone's quality of life got instantly worse, but we could live without it. The most damaging part was when the radioactive isotopes stopped coming in. Now, radioactive isotopes, that's what we use for cancer screening, cancer treatment. Now, that stuff, it has a short half-life. Technetium used to save hundreds of thousands of lives just by screening for cancer, let alone testing for cancer. But that stuff has a half-life of 66 hours. As soon as those rules went up, there was just no time to bring it into the country. And that is when people started dying. And then the medicines. The thing is, there's loads of medicines that you just can't stockpile. There was a moment before it took place when actually there was some effort to try and stockpile some of the medicines. There was some things that could be done. For a lot of it, there was simply nothing that could be done. We had a major problem with drugs for schizophrenia. So we saw such an uptick in the kind of taxis from the street and people suffering on their own because they didn't have the mental health drugs, because those drugs simply couldn't be stockpiled. And we eventually found the same thing with foods that were produced in the UK. And the trouble with the UK was we don't produce started having significant material problems in the country. Then Britain always told itself it had this national image, right, that because it got through the war, that it could go through any kind of hardship. I mean, that wasn't really the case. People during the war were far more frightened than some of this historical stuff makes out. Now, what did we see? People don't want to go through this. They were desperate for the things that they had before, and they were scared. So they went to the black market. The same thing that always happens. And where did the growth of Clan Kelly come from? It came from people wanting things that they could previously get legitimately and could now only get through the black market, funneling funds towards criminality. From there, we got to the situation we have now of this bit of war between criminals and security that seems to dominate what's going on out there on the streets.
Nothing shakes people's faith in capitalism quite as much as when capitalism fails to deliver. Here's underground writer and analyst Alfie, The Politics of Poverty.
I think what we've come to
All units. Possible suspect or suspects reported near your location.
Moving to the hostiles' location.
That's the whole logic for running society in this way, that people will have enough. And now, with these kind of huge shortages of everything, you're seeing that.
Any other patrols have eyes on the suspect, over?
Promise. And I think we've really reached a situation where we have to do away with capitalism entirely. We're seeing a situation where there's shortages for the many, but for a few individuals,
Return to HQ.
There's an elite
This is
who are not
pointless.
struggling and short of anything. So this is kind of fundamental inequality in the capitalist system, which is no longer producing the goods for most of us. Shortages are being used as well. I'm not saying there isn't a real shortage. There possibly is real shortages, but shortages are being used as an excuse for those in power, those elites, to keep what they want and not give to the rest of us what we need. So the excuse that there's simply not enough to go around is the justification for maintaining a kind of power of the 1% and leaving the rest of us short.
So if you're starving hungry tonight, if your parents can't get their medicine and your brothers and sisters have to steal to eat, remember, it's all for the good of our people. Or Clan Kenny, or someone, just not us. But that's going to change. You've been listening to Buccaneer with me, Tash. Keep spreading the word and keep sharing the podcast. There's enough of everything out there for all of us. We just need the guts to take it back.
It's possible hostiles near your location.
You're listening to the bar.
Nibbling away. Hello, resistors. This is the bug, keeping the fire of hope alive in the vacuum of today's Britain. Okay, fires don't burn in vacuums. It's a little novelty Christmas light.
Control, I can't see the suspect. Please advise.
It is something to cling to. Joining me, as always, is Alice. And Alice, hold the front page. Technology apparently is here to stay. There's no way around that now.
That's it. I'm calling off the pursuit.
Crack of the Industrial Revolution to get it better all this time. But new tech is creating 4,000 jobs. Count them all, 4,000 new jobs. Thanks to this new tech.
I mean, that's a very exciting thing if you're someone who wants to work in the tech sector, but I can only assume that this tech investment has created 4,000 jobs that will immediately be taken by robots.
Even if they're not, there'll be jobs that no one in their right sane mind would actually want to do, but that's the price of progress, I guess. And we have to embrace the way technology is taking over everything, because maybe this is a ray of hope for us in this universe, that technology will in fact render us all obsolete, and we won't need humans at all. The bad things that are happening now. What is the common denominator behind it?
I don't know, Andy, tell me.
All the bad things that are happening now, all the bad things that have ever happened, all involved human beings. They're always involved whenever anything goes wrong from the very dawn of time. And think of this, an automated Nigel Cass, surely a step up on the human Nigel Cass. You could even program it to have a tiny, tiny sliver of conscience. And if you had an automated Prime Minister, you could program it to be occasionally in the goddamn country. So that's, again, just a step forward.
Again, I insist that there's never been a Prime Minister. I've never seen him, I've never heard of him. The only times I ever hear what the Prime Minister does is it's when nothing happens.
I mean, it has reached the point where, and I've thought this for a long time, we would be better off if the Prime Minister was a watermelon. No, it would be, I think we'd all be happy with that. We'd all know where we stood.
You hear
Suspects reported in your area, potentially armed and hostile.
Diplomacy is indistinguishable from
Pursuing
doing
the target.
absolutely nothing.
You're listening to The Bar. 4,000 dream jobs for everyone. All I can say is that I'm very glad that much of this stuff drama at school, because that has set them up
Control,
for
I've
life
lost the target.
in modern Britain. That is the one core skill they need, the ability to pretend that they are living happy and fulfilled lives, that they have jobs that are worth doing, and that they're making the planet a better place, and that they control their own destinies, and that they can even a
Calling off the pursuit.
and that they can
Over and
smile
out.
without crying. That's what drama teaches them to do. Crucial skills in this day and age. Of course, it's not just the jobs that have been
Optics, we have reports of a hostile in your area. Over.
Received. Let's keep this by the book. Over.
And, well, of course, I mean, it's so convenient, Optic, isn't it? It saves us so much time and hassle trying to exist in a realm of reality. I don't even need to bother with that. I mean, sure, the
Negative.
government has hacked into
No
my
sign of
phone and
suspect.
basically monitors
Over.
every waking moment and thought. But at least I don't have to type, where's my nearest search engine. At least I don't have to waste anything between 8 and 12 seconds every day going online to look up...
Control, we're heading back.
And at least I'm not frittering away my precious mental energies thinking, what do I actually think?
Optic is so secure, Andy. It's more secure than a teenage girl reading a women's magazine. It's more secure than a comedian with a drinking problem. It's more secure than a young man who's just got his first motorcycle license.
Finally, before we go today, bug off to the Prime Minister, who has once again FRO'd to who knows where this week. He sure as hell is not here in London. I remember back in the day when our Prime Ministers were either incompetent or crooked, but not both at once. But actually, no, I can't remember them being both at once. But incompetent, crooked, and not even in the country. That is one impressive triple whammy. I've had Lions longer than his longest spell on British soil in this last year. It's this halfway house I can't stand. Either come back and do a job or leave the planet entirely. I'm pretty sure there must be a spare space station knocking around where he can go and entertain himself for the rest of the time. Can we crowdfund it? Tell you, let's make a cryptocurrency out of something. Crowdfund it that way if you're spare. Jelly beans, are they still legal?
He's away so often, Andy. I'm starting to think he doesn't like the country.
That is all from the bug today. Fly away, bugs. We are done.
As the hunger strike of 6 migrants currently being held at the Kennington Oval enters its 10th day, officials released a statement indicating that force-feeding procedures would commence in order to safeguard the lives of the protesters. International agencies have called the situation a humanitarian crisis. Join us on GBB tonight as we look at migrants, detention, and the prospects for a solution to this complicated and contentious issue.
To the upload. In this episode, we're talking about CTOS 3.0, the city operating system that's now powering all of London. For those of you who need reminding, as if anyone does at this point, CTOS was first used in Chicago in 2014 and then San Francisco in 2017 before coming here to London. And every time it's been rolled out, it's been pretty much an unmitigated disaster.
For those of you who are listening who are lucky enough not to be here in London's chaotic scenes, it's worth remembering that the telecoms tower is now owned by Bloom. The tower looms over northwest London. It's always been a communications hub, acting as part of the UK's television and communications network. Although there's been
I say again, all units, we have reports of a hostile in your area. Over.
Through the telecoms tower. And I have to say, it looks completely ridiculous. It's got that... It's a blight on the skyline, if you ask me, and it's become the main point of control for millions of people.
Anyone have visual? Anyone?
Both operated and streamed from there too.
And don't forget about the self-driving cars too.
I always thought they were just running on their own.
No, CTOS is the big control system behind the cars.
Target is
there was a
long
point
gone.
back in the
Disengage.
earliest days
Over
of self-driving
and
car technology that they operated by themselves. They used to use a series of sensors to see the world around them. Radar, for instance, would look far off into the distance, while LiDAR would detect objects nearby. And while these cars still use some of this technology, Bloom CTOS and its detailed maps and data that it has on London really makes Bloom be able to take control of it. And CTOS can take control of your car if you're parked incorrectly. It's no surprise that it was made mandatory to have a self-driving car.
The system is so bad though, it's so annoying. Whenever I try to use one of the shareable self-driving cars, I always find myself stuck in traffic jams or roadblocks. Not to mention the accidents. I've heard so many stories of cars shunting into the back of others. I think they're worse than human drivers sometimes.
The technology was meant to make things better, but Bloom has made it so bad that it just makes London even more chaotic than it was before. I'm giving up on the cars. I'm only using the bikes, which are not self-driving, at the moment at least. And don't even get me started on the data. Everything that Bloom sees from your movements around the city and the self-driving cars is collected and feeds back into its big information control system.
Oh, not you and Bloom and privacy again. You're a broken record.
Not as broken as our city's cars.
The Bug. Objective voice of objection for a most objectionable world. Hello, Bugsters. Welcome to The Bug, the comedy show that holds up the Medusa of satire to the already immovably concrete face of modern Britain. I'm Andy, I bench 480, and I can crack a tree in half just by looking at it. Can I? Well, it's reality anyway. Maybe. Alice, what do you bench?
I bench body weights.
Right.
Well, not my body weight.
Okay.
Body weight of a baby.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to give that kind of detail.
It's very impressive. People look at me and go, where did you get that baby?
Yeah. You are listening to The Bug.
In this week's Truth News, according to an official poll, 98% of Londoners are very happy with CTOS. And I am not sure that I agree with this, Andy. I don't think 98% of Londoners have ever in the history of London ever agreed on anything. You could not get 98% of Londoners to agree on
Motherfucker!
Getting out of here. Oh, I've got to get a shot of this. Pardon me?
Going to every crevice of the country. I mean, this is not just any old...
Reports of a hostile in your area. Watching for suspect.
This is the right location. Control, put out an APW. Target is gone.
Nice.
I'm not looking for trouble.
You don't, do you? The shit out of them.
Go and see what they got to!
No, all right. It's not my fault.
Drone, spread out and
It's
search.
off.
Hey, why don't we talk about this? Find them. Tear the place apart if you have to. You can't hide from...
I need cover! Everyone's gonna shoot me!
Located the CTOS hub. Done.
Carry around a phone, you've just got the small handheld unit. So much lighter and so much more convenient. It's great.
Vicky, you sound like you absolutely love the Optic. Do you actually think that it's made our lives any better?
I mean, sure, it's definitely made things a lot easier. It's so simple to call someone now. All you have to do is choose who you want to chat to, and they're there, ready to talk. And browsing the web is so much easier. I remember when you used to have to sit down at a computer with an actual keyboard and mouse and type everything out. And my favourite feature is public transport. With the Optic, you can just walk straight onto the tube. It even acts as a passport. No longer do I have to dig around and try and find my old paper passport just to travel somewhere. Also, I thought that Optic's marketing strategy, making it free for people, was a stroke of genius.
Genius. Bloom was really calculated when it was doing that. It was pushing this draconian device on us at all. Sure, everybody flocked to it. There was free Wi-Fi and phone plans. That definitely helped, but it wasn't a case of this is a product that you need in your life.
Why do you hate it so much?
It's just the worst because you had to give up your rights. It was almost like the government didn't even need to make the Optic mandatory. Making it mandatory was only to get the last holdouts across the line. If free data didn't convince you, fines and arrests from the state for not having the Optic would pretty much be enough.
I mean, what do you mean by privacy problems? No one really talks about that anymore.
Control,
They don't
I've
talk
lost
about
sight of
it
the target.
because we
Over.
don't have any choice when it comes to the Optic. Yes, it's convenient and mandatory, but everybody's forgotten what it really means. Here, you've got a whole company owning basically all the data about your life. Bloom can see everything that you can see. Nothing is private anymore. There are so many times when I don't want anyone to have a clue about where I am, who I'm chatting with, what I'm doing. It's not even dodgy stuff, but I just don't want anybody to blackmail with me with this in the future by hacking it. And because of Bloom's contracts with the government, it isn't just Bloom that can see everything I do. It's the government. The UK as a state has become a complete surveillance paradise.
I think you're painting a bit of a bleak picture. It's not all that bad.
No, you're completely wrong on this. I don't want everybody tracking me wherever I'm going around London.
Well, in that case, you might be interested in some rumours I heard. Did you hear that some DedSec hackers have found a way to bypass the Optic's connection with Bloom?
Are they actually making it better or usable or actually friendly for anybody?
Well, word on the street is that they've been able to create an encrypted signal, which means that your world might have a chance of becoming a bit more private again, so you could go back and enjoy all the great things about Optic without that fear of surveillance.
With the Optic, privacy's dead.
Here at Star Roger, we want to wake you up before life tries to break you up. Now, that's the way to start the day. Star Roger, wake up and experience the hope.
No worries, mate.
the show that holds up a mirror to the world and smashes itself on the head with it in despair. I'm Andy, joining me, as always, Alice, and...
I deny everything.
Just a good state of existence. Some good news, at last. There are no medicine shortages, according to the government, none at all. There have been various allegations about that. It turns out they are all fake news, trademark. But there are none. There are no shortages of medicine. Don't take it from me. I'm not a medical supply expert. Take it from our beloved government. It's fine. In fact, I'm going to read between the lines here and actually say there's probably... There's too much medicine, if anything. Just medicine. You can't move for medicine. In fact, just this morning, I tried to pour some cornflakes into a bowl for breakfast and out tumbled a 12-month course of immunosuppressants, corticosteroids, and anti-retrofrontal neurodilatory estrogen spermatotropic fruit pastels.
The people claiming there are medical shortages are probably high on lots of medicine that they've been given. I, for one, believe that there are no medical shortages, Andy. Just last week, I went in with a broken arm and they suggested it might just be extreme period pain and prescribed me a drink of water and an astrology chart.
I think we can't be too far away from them just prescribing stiff upper lip like they do.
My uncle had a leg removed due to diabetes. They halved his insulin because they said there was less of him to be diabetic.
So, anyway, people don't believe what you read and hear about there not being enough medical drugs to go around. It's not true. It's hospital hogwash, it's pharmaceutical flim-flam, it's medical mendacity, it's hypnotic humbug, it's nonsensical narcotic nincompoop. I think I've made the point. Do not believe the news telling you that we've run out of medicine, nor do you believe the empty shelves at the chemist. Do not believe your doctor saying, sorry, we're fresh out of that. You're
Control to all units. Possible hostiles near your location.
Received. Responding to the situation.
The analgesic knowledge that however ill you may be...
Driving into the vehicle, over.
You're listening to Val.
Obviously, I don't entirely mean that, because what is the first rule of the third millennium? If someone in power tells you something is fake news...
Any sign of the target?
Correct.
Anyone?
10% cast iron, tungsten-coated granite cement cost millimeters with scientifically unarguable fact. But surely...
Hit the fucking brakes!
Medicine freaks whinging on about feelings...
Immobilize that vehicle!
Slowly dying is this. Do we actually need medicine? If you today got diagnosed with a potentially fatal illness, would you not look around at the nation that we've become and think, hey doc, put your life-saving treatment down.
Search has yielded no results. Report back to HQ.
My face until the twitching stops.
I just don't think we should think of it in such a negative way. Don't think of it as a medicine diet, Andy. Think of it as a series of healthy lifestyle swaps. Swap out anti-inflammatories for antacids. Swap out the iron lung for the aluminium lung. Swap out MRI machines for Mary machines, which is just a lady called Mary telling you you're fine.
Obviously, critical shortages are as much part of our daily lives, our society and our culture today as things like football, music and complaining about the weather used to be in the old days. And, well, food shortages, yeah, we just learn to live with them, don't we? And there's a lot of positives as well with all these food shortages. I mean, we were eating too much anyway. As a nation, the government's just helping us live healthier lifestyles. It's so hard to diet on your own, isn't it? You need the support of a friend or a loved one or a government or collapsing social infrastructure. Positive 2, meat, very bad for the environment. So we're actually rebuilding the polar ice caps every summer. 3, positive 3, the human race had already cooked all the recipes and needed. There was nothing more to be done with food. We've done that. I was bored of food anyway. I've been eating it all my life. If you've been doing the same thing 3 times a day...
I don't care how desperate you are. Make you think.
Possible suspect or suspects reported near your location.
Message received. Moving in. Over.
Watch out! Gun! Gun! Gee, what are you saying? Right then, okay. Right, one.
Suspect is unsighted. Unsighted sweeping area.
Can't stand another second of this.
Search units, disengage. This search is pointless.
It's possible suspect or suspects reported near your location.
Received. Moving in hostiles' direction.
It stresses me a bit that it's all or nothing. You know the risk of getting stolen by hackers. But at least I know where it is.
Negative. No visual of the suspect.
Banging! How's late-stage capitalism working for you? Fucking gobshite. You fascists, get out!
Returning to HQ. Search terminated.
SIRS reports that London has seen a reduction in violent crime year on year.
I can't want us all to sing folk songs and kiss each other on the mouth as a greeting. I just like things, you know, to stop being so nightmarish. Shouldn't used to be this scary.
Hold still during the scan.
Yes, I know.
I didn't see you.
Why are you going to keep having it again and again?
Boring, repetitive. There's enough out of life that is. You are listening to The Bar. Well, another story that has come to the fore recently is that all European imports have been banned for public health reasons, which is great news. I mean, at least we can get ill-eating, good, home-produced, locally sourced, British industrially unsafe food. That's something we can look into. Public health reasons, those are curious words. Alice, I don't know, is that in case the public gets too healthy eating all that Mediterranean muck? Let's have British food, but British tummies. Spelt, necklace, rabbit. That's all we need. That's all we need in the glory days. Everyone around the margins for dinner.
Who needs Italian olives when you can eat pickled rubber bands and a soup of regret? Who needs a nice cheese when you can eat a lukewarm, unspecified rat meat pie with 0 spices?
Sand, nettles, and bits of dead fox. That's all we needed to eat in the glory days. Let's make Britain great again. That's all from The Bug today. Good night, sleep tight, and make sure the bed bugs do.
This is London Calling. You're here with me, Tash, Buccaneer, your source for what they don't want you to know. In today's world, we've all had to get used to our every move being tracked by the optic on our temples, by the cameras around us, and with every click we make online. Seems like everything we do feeds the big data beast. Why are data giants like Bloom so hungry to get hold of our private information and our metadata? What are they using it for? Will we ever have real private lives again? What is privacy in the digital world? And what happens when capitalism and surveillance become one? As you know, we keep all things confidential. Speaking from a secure location, here's new technology strategist Charles, who's worked all over the world trying to keep democracy strong in the face of the data assault.
If you have enough personal data on somebody, you're able to predict what it is that they're going to do. You can tell what they might be passionate about, but mostly you can tell what they fear. And if you can tell what someone fears, then you can manipulate them and you can move them in particular directions. Data is collected on citizens in every possible way. Data is collected through surveillance cameras. Data is collected from television sets. They don't even necessarily need to be super smart television sets. Data is collected from voter records. It's collected from how much power do you use in your house and how much water do you use in your house. In pre-crisis Britain, we got really used to all of our services being free. Everything suddenly became free that was digital. But what people forgot is that if you're not paying for it, then you're the product being sold.
If technology brings out the worst in capitalism, capitalism brings out the worst in technology. Senior academic Alfie tells us how big business repurposes big data.
Historically, what's happened, of course, is that people have traded their privacy for their convenience as smartphones and other kinds of technology came in and became mass-consumed, mass-used items and technological objects. Gradually, people were so attracted to the affordances of these technologies that privacy kind of retreated into the background and into a state we've got now where it's essentially gone. Having this access to this data makes huge tech companies like Bloom so much more powerful than they would be otherwise, and not just in the obvious ones. Of course, there's a lot of worry and
Control to all units, possible hostiles near your location.
I think there's even
Received, mobilizing now. Out.
Data empowers these huge companies to control our society and make us do things. So lots of predictive technologies which are implemented by these tech giants. It's not only interested in knowing what we're going to do, but influencing the patterns of our movement. So technologies might suggest routes to use in the city, places to go, restaurants to go to, cafes to go to, music to listen to. And
Terminating
these
the search.
suggestions are not
Control.
just predicting what we
Put
might
out
like
an
to do,
APW.
they're actually influencing the way citizens move, think, eat, meet, and use their city as a space. So London has become a place where a small group of surveillance capitalist companies like Bloom can control the movements of individuals and orchestrate the way they move around their city and the way they simply live, the things they do, the things they enjoy and the life they lead. So we're really kind of outsourcing our decision making, I would say, to a huge corporate capitalist company, and there's something very, very scary about that indeed. All these technologies can be used to not only influence us to act as the perfect consumer, but also to prevent us from doing radical and revolutionary things. So technologies in foreign nations that have been used are things like heat map features which show where populations are gathering, in-game rewards to take different routes, things like that.
Suspect reported in your area, potentially
armed
and
authoritarian regimes across the world recently. So what we're looking at is not only a set of technologies which make people behave as ideal consumers,
Control,
which actually
I've lost sight of the target.
to use
Over.
to prevent radical and disruptive behaviour in the city, which limits the power of any kind of revolutionary force.
So, if you thought
Right,
private
I'm
life
putting a stop to this.
used to it,
Units fall back.
we're
Over.
not going to reclaim our lives without a fight. I'm Tash, and you've been listening to Buccaneer, keeping the resistance informed. Keep listening, keep fighting, and remember, nobody owns you but you.
Mum, this is boring.
I'm out of data.
Oh, I was playing that game.
Mom!
Anywhere, anytime you need us, we're there. Wi-Fi on the fly.
Nibbling away on the rotting carcass of a once free Britain.
Yum, yum.
Hello, Resistance fans. You're listening to the Punk Podcast, the objective voice of objection for this most objectionable world. I am Andy, not my real name, so good luck finding me, Monsieur Bloom. My real name is, in fact, Andrew, and I live in, note this down, a deluded pseudo-reality of my own making, which is, in fact, the most densely populated place on Earth these days, overcrowded, some might say. Joining me, as always, my next-door neighbour in these Netherlands of nonsense. It's Alice.
Yes, indeed, it is Alice. Alice, who the bleep is Alice? I am not going to tell you that, but you can just sort of sense it from the timbre of my voice.
Let's spin the wheel and find out where we're...